Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Brent Glass, the Director of the National Museum of American History. I'm very pleased to welcome you this morning to this historic occasion, the reopening of your National Museum of American History. We're going to get our program underway quickly this morning, so you can get inside where it's warm and welcoming and bright and open and see the real national treasures of our country, the Star-Spangled Banner, Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, and many other national treasures. Please welcome the Children's Chorus of Washington.
Broad
Thank you. We do have a special treat today for you. As all of you know, Francis Scott Key saw the Star-Spangled Banner flying over Fort McHenry on September 14, 1814. So we have 1,814 special gifts for the first 1,814 visitors who come to the museum this morning. Now, he saw the flag at the dawn's early light, and we're a little bit past that point, and we know it's a brisk day out here, so we want to begin our program immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors by our very own Smithsonian Honor Guard and the singing of our national anthem by the Children's Chorus of Washington. Thank you. Please now welcome a member of our board of the National Museum of American History and Senior Vice President of Public Policy Development and Corporate Responsibility for Verizon Communications, Catherine Brown.
Good morning, everyone. It's a wonderful day, isn't it? Thank you, Dr. Glass, my fellow board members, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to speak to you this morning, not only as a member of the board of this amazing museum, but as the Corporate Responsibility Officer for Verizon. As a parent who has raised 2 daughters here in Washington, I spent many happy hours in this museum exploring its amazing treasures through my children's eyes. So it gives me enormous pleasure to be here this morning as the museum opens a new chapter in bringing to life our nation's heritage for children of all ages. Dr. Glass, what a stunning accomplishment. Verizon is honored to be working closely with Brent Glass and the dedicated staff here at the museum to ensure that American history comes alive for our nation's children using the tools of the 21st century. In April 2007, the museum joined 10 of the nation's leading organizations in the field of education and literacy to serve as a content partner for thinkfinity.org, the Verizon Foundation's online web portal that provides teachers, parents, and students with more than 55,000 free online educational resources. The museum's goal as Verizon ThinkFinity's partner is to develop engaging study plans for teachers and interactive web-based learning opportunities for students. ThinkFinity also supports this museum in ensuring that our country's past is seen by today's kids and that they get a broader understanding of our nation and its many peoples and cultures. Together, Verizon and the museum are dedicating to bringing this museum online to the place where children live all over this nation. I'm happy today that in addition to the grand opening, the National Museum of American History will formally launch Smithsonian's History Explorer, the newest ThinkFinity website and a rich gateway for innovative teaching and learning resources on American history. I encourage each of you to go online, www.thinkfinity.org, and see all the free resources. But I especially want to point out one to you. It's called Mr. Powell Leaves Washington, and it maps the former Secretary of State's events across the United States and across the world. Go see it. I hope you will have a fabulous time today wandering through the museum, and when you leave, that you will log on to thinkfinity.org and continue your journey through American history. 140 years ago this week, on November 19, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln delivered his anthem, honoring the tens of thousands of Americans who died on the fields of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Although it is but 269 words, Lincoln's Gettysburg Address has become one of the most revered texts in America. The address reminds us still of our duty to work as a united people if we are to strengthen and preserve the very freedoms we love. Part history, part consecration, and a poignant call to action, this is one of our most precious texts from one of our greatest presidents. I'm delighted to be sharing this day with General Powell, a man who has made history on several fronts, serving this nation as a soldier and a statesman, and as the founder of Americans' Promise. General, I am deeply honored to be here with you today, and in a moment, we will hear General Powell read President Lincoln's words. We have another very distinguished leader with us today who has had a long career in education, Dr. Wayne Clough. During his remarkable career, including the past 14 years as president of Georgia Tech, Dr. Clough has shown an ability to dramatically advance the institutions and constituencies he serves through innovative curricula, through mentorship, through national policy input, and community relations. In his book, The World is Flat, by Thomas Friedman, he devotes an entire chapter to Dr. Clough, crediting him as a visionary leader who worked to rethink an entire university strategy that produces a more well-rounded student. On July 1st of this year, Dr. Clough became the 12th secretary of the Smithsonian Institution. And look at this first amazing accomplishment. Congratulations, Dr. Clough. Your accomplishments extend beyond what time allows this morning and the weather permits. But I am looking forward to the day that your story joins the walls of this remarkable institution as an American icon. And it is a pleasure for me to introduce you today. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for that wonderful introduction, Kathy, and setting the stage for us on this very, very important day, and a very happy one for the Smithsonian, and we thank for the American people. We thank all those of you who've come out on this nice chilly day and wonderful day for us to be with us for the reopening of the Smithsonian's Museum of American History and the Kenneth E Baring Center and its new home for the Star-Spangled Banner, which I guarantee you is special. We're deeply honored, as Kathy says, that the Honorable Colin Powell, retired four-star general and former Secretary of State and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, is with us today. When you visit the exhibit, The Price of Freedom, in this area, in this museum, you'll see the uniform he wore in Operation Desert Storm and Desert Shield. We are very grateful on this day to members of Congress, the administration, our regents, board members, and donors who made this happen today. And also we want to say a special thanks to all those in this museum and for the Smithsonian workers who've made this happen today, and for Director Brent Glass and his great leadership. Thank you, Brent. Everybody's done a great job to get us here today. As the doors open this morning, they open on a new era of education and inspiration for all Americans and others who visit this museum. We aspire to tell the story of America and of Americans to ourselves and to the world. Our history is important to all of our citizens and the citizens of the world who look to us as a model of democracy and freedom. The historian David Mccullough, a board member here at this museum, in a speech in 1995, asked this question: why history? And he answered his question in this way: history teaches, it reinforces what we believe in, what we stand for, and what we ought to be willing to stand up for. History is, or should be, the bedrock of patriotism, not the chest-pounding kind of patriotism, but the real thing, the love of our country. He was right, and his words have stood the test of time. Of course, it is clear from his long and distinguished career of public service that General Colin Powell is a student of history. He knows well what this nation stands for. In fact, he embodies so much of what this nation stands for. And certainly his patriotism is of the kind that David described, not the chest-pounding kind of patriotism, but the real thing, love of country. A modest military man, he's been a courageous leader in times of war and peace. He's devoted his life to his troops and to his country. Time and again, he's risked his life for his country. As true patriots do, he continues to find new ways to contribute to our great nation. As a civilian, he and his wife, Alma, created America's Promise Alliance, now the country's largest multi-sector alliance focused on the well-being of young people. In his best-selling autobiography, My American Journey, General Powell describes his love of country in this way: it is a love full of pride for our virtues, and with patience for our failings. We are a fractious nation, always searching, always dissatisfied, yet always hopeful. It is fitting and proper that General Powell is here today to read Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. I have to think that if Lincoln were alive today, he would be very pleased and gratified that General Powell was the person chosen for this historic moment. Please welcome soldier, citizen, diplomat, patriot, General Colin Powell.
It is the 19th of November, 1863, 4.5 months after the battle at Gettysburg. 15,000 people have come to Gettysburg to dedicate the new Soldiers Memorial Cemetery. At 3 o'clock that afternoon, Abraham Lincoln rose and addressed the crowd that had assembled. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note, no longer remember what we say here, but can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for that wonderful reading of the Gettysburg Address. Now it is my great pleasure to recognize and introduce Mr. Kenneth E. Baring, whose vision and most generous philanthropy has contributed so much to transform the National Museum of American History. Ken, as always, we're delighted to welcome you here, and Pat, and the members of your family. And I'd like to invite our speakers, General Powell, Secretary Clough, Catherine Brown, the Baring family, all our special guests, to join Ken and me here at the ribbon to officially open the National Museum of American History. Now, while we assemble at the ribbon, I have to, one piece of housekeeping. Although the museum has changed, some things never change. So we have resumed our normal bag checks when you enter the museum. So please be as patient as you can as we cut the ribbon and open officially our museum.
Well, thank you. So honored to be here with Colin Powell. I mean, we've been friends for a long time. I've admired him, and to have him here with me today is a great honor. I'm very proud to have been this a small part of the rebuilding of this great institution and provide what I could. We hope that young people and people from all over our country will come here to get inspired, to look back and see what their ancestors achieved, where they came here to a country that was new and built it into the greatest country in the world. And we again today need young people to come here to get inspired and to carry on that tradition of their ancestors, because we want to remain the greatest country in the world. God bless America.